You're lying on your deathbed. The end is nigh. You've said your goodbyes. Now all that's left is to take one final breath. But then something strange happens. Your eyes suddenly pop open and you find yourself staring up at the ceiling of what appears to be your bedroom. Did you just die and come back to life? Is this heaven? Are you in some sort of coma? Or did you just wake up from a vivid dream? It could be any of those things, but it could also be something else entirely. Welcome to my channel. And today we're answering the extraordinary question, what happens after we die? Before we get into it, we should state that no one really knows for sure what happens after we die. And this video is not intended to be definitive or conclusive. Instead, we'll explore a variety of theories about what might happen when a person dies and what science has to say about the possibility of life after death. When you hear the term life after death, the first thing that might spring to mind are religions and their various beliefs about the afterlife. Christianity teaches that when someone dies, their soul goes off to be with God in heaven or hell, depending on how they lived their life. Meanwhile, other faiths like Buddhism have different ideas about what happens when someone dies. Some believe in reincarnation, where the soul is reborn into another body after death. In Hinduism, for example, the soul is reborn based on the laws of karma. But these beliefs are all based on faith rather than evidence. So, what does science have to say about life after death? Well, it turns out there are several theories that might explain what happens after we die. One is the idea that consciousness is nothing more than brain activity. If this is true, then when someone dies, their consciousness dies with them. There is no soul that goes off to heaven or hell. No rebirth. Basically, if you die, you don't become a conscious being again. This theory is known as physicalism or materialism, and it's supported by many scientists, including the late Stephen Hawking. However, there are some who disagree with this view. Some believe in a form of life after death, but it's not exactly what you might imagine. According to Robert Lanza, an American scientist and author of several books on the afterlife, death is just another phase of life. He believes that our consciousness continues after death, but it's not a separate thing from our physical bodies. Instead, our memories, personality, and other aspects of our being are all part of a greater whole that extends beyond our physical bodies. This theory is sometimes referred to as panpsychism, or the view from nowhere. It suggests that everything in the universe is connected and that our consciousness is part of a larger whole that includes all other conscious beings. But what does this mean for the possibility of an afterlife? Well, according to Lance, it means that death is not the end. Instead, he believes that when we die, our consciousness simply returns to the universe, becoming one with everything else. While this may not be the type of afterlife that some people might hope for, it does offer a different perspective on what might happen when we die. It suggests that death is not a one-way process, but rather a cyclical one where our consciousness is continually reborn into new forms. Some believe that the afterlife is actually in this world, but we can't see it because we're limited by our senses. According to parapsychologist Peter Sellers, we can access the afterlife through altered states of consciousness, such as those induced by meditation or near-death experiences. Sellers has conducted several experiments designed to test the possibility of life after death. In one experiment, he worked with a group of blindfolded subjects and asked them to describe what they saw. Despite being blindfolded, the subjects were able to describe objects placed in front of them, such as a flower or a tree. Sellers believes that this was because they were accessing information from the afterlife. He argues that this and other similar experiments provide evidence that consciousness is not limited to the physical world and that we can access the afterlife through altered states of consciousness. What do you think? Is Sellers on to something here? Or is there another explanation for these so-called psychic abilities? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. While the idea of accessing the afterlife through altered states of consciousness is fascinating, it's important to remember that it's just that, an idea. there's no concrete evidence that we can access the afterlife simply by meditating or having a near-death experience. However, NDEs, or near-death experiences, are often reported by people who have been close to death, such as those who have survived cardiac arrest. NDEs can include out-of-body experiences, a sense of peace or euphoria, and even visions of a tunnel of light. While NDEs are subjective and can vary from person to person, they've been studied by medical professionals such as Dr. Peter Sellers, who believes that they provide evidence of life after death. On the other hand, there are other explanations for NDEs, such as changes in brain activity or the release of certain hormones in the body. So, while NDEs can be powerful and life-changing events for some, it's important to keep in mind that they can also be explained by natural phenomena. Dr. Sam Parnia, a specialist in near-death experiences, has studied hundreds of patients who have had cardiac arrests. He found that many of them were able to recall details of their surroundings after their hearts stopped beating, suggesting that consciousness can continue even after the heart stops beating. This research challenges the traditional view that death occurs when the heart stops beating. Instead, it suggests that the moment of death may occur later in the process. Dr. Parnia's findings have been the subject of much debate in the medical community, with some arguing that his methods are flawed and that NDEs can be explained by brain activity. However, Dr. Parnia and others continue to study NDEs in order to learn more about what happens to the human brain and consciousness after death. Their research may provide valuable insights into the nature of death and the possibility of life after death. While these theories are fascinating, it's important to keep in mind that ultimately we don't know what happens after death. The human brain is incredibly complex and we're still learning about how it works. What we do know is that when someone dies, their body begins to shut down. The heart stops beating, the lungs stop working, and the brain begins to die. But what happens to consciousness during this process? That remains a mystery. If you're interested in learning more about what happens after death, we encourage you to explore the resources below. Keep an open mind and be prepared to have your perspective challenged. Who knows, you may just learn something that changes your view of the world and existence itself. It's unclear whether or not there will ever be definitive proof of life after death. However, the question is one that humans have been pondering for centuries. From ancient civilizations to modern-day philosophers, people have grappled with the meaning of death and what lies beyond. As technology advances and our understanding of the universe grows, we may come closer to unraveling the mysteries of what happens after death. Whether we find concrete answers or not, the journey of exploring this question can be a deeply enriching and thought-provoking experience. What are your thoughts on the afterlife? Do you believe in life after death? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some of our other videos on death and the afterlife. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.